Hi, I'm V and this is the Ratcheting Raven. Today I'm going to be installing the 34-row oil cooler and the thermostatic plate from Z1 on my 370.
Alright, so first 10 mil, disconnect the battery. Next, the front passenger wheel comes off. Next, I'll be removing the splash guard under here. It's just a bunch of 10 mil bolts that hold it on. Splash guard is off. That was only, like 10 bolts. Next, this fender liner comes off. There are a couple bolts that hold it snug in place. I'm going to take those off. Okay, now it's loosened up. There's a plastic clip right here, keeping it in. Fender liner is off. Next, I'm going to take the bumper off, and you guessed it, lots more plastic body panel clip. Still have some more to go. Got one left. So now, in order to get the bumper off, there are two 10mm screws right here, and one is at the same spot on the driver's side. Those have to come out. There's one. And this one is a little bit more difficult to get to since I am not going to take this tire or fender liner off. It is tucked in behind. If you follow this line, there's a little bump right here. It's tucked in behind there. Okay, now that one's off. Now to get the bumper off is pretty simple. Pull straight out. But you don't want to be too rough or you will break these little indents that pop and hold the bumper on. Oh, and I forgot to mention there are two more 10mm screws that hold the fender liner to the bumper. I've got to take those off real quick. Okay, my apologies. It was just one. Same thing on this side. Now to disconnect the bumper from the car, it's connected by wires. Disconnect the turn signal. The other side is a little bit easier than this side because there is more room to work with, but you push in and pull. Next, I'm going to take the crash bar foam off, just like that. All right, next I'm going to take out these 8 12mm bolts that hold the crash bar on. I've already taken one out. All right, it's off. And taking it off is not entirely necessary, but it does give more access to this space in general. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil from the oil pan and take the filter off. Let that drain out, and then the filter's here. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off after this is drained out. All right, now that that's draining, I'll let it finish. Okay, while that finishes draining, I'm going to put this bracket onto the oil cooler itself. You need a 4mm Allen wrench to get these bolts off right here. Take these out, it will release this bracket. So this piece will come off, it's held on by these. Okay, now that I have the bracket taken apart, this is the top of the oil cooler. This bracket goes on the bottom side, and it can go either way. So I'm going to put it on like so. So the bracket sits like this. Okay, I'm putting the bracket onto the cooler. I took these off. They do not fit. Came with a little hardware kit. We're going to use the nuts out of that, and we're going to use the bolts that came in the bracket. You know, that's how it goes. Now that I have these nuts on both sides, I'm going to snug it up. All right, same thing for this side. All right, bracket is on. Okay, since I've got the bottom bracket installed, we're gonna install the top bracket. It goes to the top left, so it will go right here. Since I used the nuts that came with the hardware kit for the bottom bracket, since these did not fit, I had to go through a nut and bolt bin that I have to find some that do fit the additional bolts in the hardware kit. So that's what I'm using if you have come across the same issue as I did. I'm gonna put these on first. Okay, cool. These are all still 10 mil, so I'm gonna tighten them up. All right, same thing for this one. Make sure it's lined up before you go tightening it down like I did. All right, both brackets are on in place. These two U-clips came with the kit. I'm gonna put those in place now. They go right here. Okay, so now that I've got the U-clips on, I'm going to fit the oil cooler in place. It'll sit about like this, and this is going to be the challenging part, kind of. Yeah, I've got to move these U-clips around. I hate these things, to be honest with you. I'm going to attempt to line up these holes with the U-clip. Alright, so these holes do not line up exactly, go figure. So it's going to be a bit of a pain to get one or the other in. I decided to put this one in first because it seemed like it would be the hardest to get lined up later. I don't know. be dang. It's on there. Okay. Now I have to mark this to drill a hole for the upper support brace that goes right here. It loops back behind here. So I have to mark and figure out where I have to drill. Somewhere in through here. Okay, you can kind of see it, kind of can't. I've measured around and drawn this line. There's actually 2 lines here because I had to even them out about to where the nut on the back of this brace goes. Now I'm going to take the oil cooler off. I'm going to measure the distance from the bottom where it sits to the nut and mark again to make sure that I've got it in the right spot, and then I'm going to drill the hole and permanently fix it in place. Alright, so I have measured again. My estimate was right the first time. I just had to find the place of the nut on the back, which is right here at this dot. You can kind of see. Now I'm going to drill, which is why I have the wood here. That way I don't drill right through the AC condenser. This is why I put that piece of wood there. And now let's see if I was right or miserably wrong. Right on the money. Look at that. Okay, it's the next day because I got really sleepy last night. So the cooler is attached to the car. I put the fittings on and it's filled with oil. Now I'm going to run the lines. There's these 2 big lines. The longer one goes on the driver's side, and this 90-degree angle connection is the one that goes to the driver's side one. So long hose, 90 degrees. All right, that one's on. Now the shorter hose, it's the same. The one with the 90-degree angle goes on the passenger side of the cooler. The lines are going to come across like this. I'll zip tie them together in a little bit. I have removed this panel right here. Let's see, it goes like this. And I have went ahead and cut that off. It was like this. So I'll put this back on. These lines will come through here and go right through here. And I'll make them look neat in a little bit. But for now, that works. All right, got these zip ties with the kit. I'm gonna go ahead and put those on. I don't know if I wanna run it down here or I'll just put it like this. I'm going to be taking out this bolt right here that holds the power steering lines on. And I'm going to be putting in this spacer so I can run the lines along the frame. Okay, this bolt is out. I'm going to get the bolt that came with the kit. This bolt, spacer like that, and then I'll put it back in place after I've run the lines. All right, I'm going to situate these lines and put the spacer and the bolt back in to hold the power steering lines on, and I will be back. Okay, so I have the thermostatic sandwich plate. I'm going to connect the lines to it before I fix it in place. Okay, the lines are attached. Okay, so I've got the thermostatic plate on loosely. I've got the lines connected snugly. That's as far as they'll go. That's as close to 7 as I can get it without hitting the cross member, and still be able to snugly get the oil filter on. I'm going to tighten down this stud, and then I will be back to put the oil filter on. And I apologize for the background noise. It is so unbelievably hot in here. I absolutely had to turn the fan on. Okay, I'm back. I have the sandwich plate installed. It's pretty snug, pretty tight. The lines are tightened up. I'm gonna prime the oil filter and put the oil filter on. Okay, I've got the oil filter primed. I'm going to put it on. I have a feeling these lines are gonna make every oil change from here on out an absolute pain. The oil filter is on. I'm gonna tighten up the bolt in the oil pan, and then I'm gonna put the wheel on and drop the car, fill it up, and test for leaks. So I got everything connected back together. The car is lowered, tires on, putting the oil in it. I'm using this Liqui Moly Gen, and I just got oil everywhere, but whatever. If there's an oil leak, it can be easier found with a black light, so that's why I'm using this. It's pretty cool. Makes it a ton easier to pinpoint oil leak. And I had a big funnel, but I have no idea what happened to it, so I'm using this tiny funnel. And the color of this is so neat. It's uranium glass green. Cheers.
Okay, I totally forgot to shoot the outro to this video, so this is kind of a month later follow-up. I didn't have any leaks or anything like that. Everything was very smooth. It's actually almost time for me to change the oil. So in the past month, the car's driven great. The oil temp has been much cooler. There's no more extreme temperature spikes when I'm driving it really hard. It stays pretty stable. And when it does rise, you know, if I'm like, when I go back to idling, it drops really fast, which is super nice. I would highly recommend this product for your 370 if you're concerned about your oil temp. Anyways, I hope this video has helped you. And don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Later.